Happy Sunday, everyone. I hope you're all having an amazing weekend so far. So there's been a lot of things going on between Bob Iger, the rest of the board of directors, and really everything revolving around their phase of damage control for all divisions over at Disney. We know that Walt Disney Animation Studios is going through a ton of revisions. That's not looking good in the least after the Wish movie box office disaster, let alone we also have a lot of things going on with Marvel Studios. But the top it all off, Lucasfilm is one of the most failed divisions as of yet over at Disney because of what's been going on behind the scenes with their many different announcements that have gotten cancelled, and this is an ongoing vicious cycle that Disney can't really seem to let go of. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So, one thing about Bob Iger is that we know that he has been really trying and desperately attempting to fix some of those divisions, to really kind of steer them in the right path, and at the end of the day, we all know that that is a 100% big lie. This comes in the wake of how he said that he would be willing to quiet down the noise, and that they want to make things more driven toward the story and character development, all of which was nothing more than a big lie to kind of just keep the shareholders in place, to keep what he calls the customers in place until the following year, and rinse and repeat. That's what Bob Iger does. Now, moving onwards, there's a lot of things going on with director Shamreen Obaid-Chinoy, the director of the REY Star Wars film, also in the wake of how she got fired from over 5 Star Wars projects over at Lucasfilm, a mixture of co-writing gigs as well as directing gigs that got lost. Now, what's interesting about that is that with director Shamreen Obaid-Chinoy endlessly involved with defending the upcoming REY Star Wars movie after her comments that started the ongoing backlash, one major development has much to do with Shamreen Obaid-Chinoy and what Disney recently did to her after many ongoing conflicts behind the scenes at Lucasfilm. As it turns out, after Bob Iger held many differences with the director and her request for the film, through funding demands for scenes that are to be crucial to the plot, Iger recently stepped in after Shamreen was causing so much trouble for the production through funding demands for scenes that were to be shot both in studio and for on-location shots. And though Shamreen, yes, was fired from 5 Lucasfilm projects, now her only project that focuses, of course, is on the REY movie, is already beginning to go into shambles after Iger informed the director and those like Kathleen that they will be cost-cutting the funds for the budget of the film, and that around 25% of the important scenes that Shamreen Obaid-Chinoy was looking over for both in-studio and at some locations are to be cancelled, which will in turn require extensive rewrites by Stephen Knight to completely remake the second act of the film, as well as portions of the first. In addition to this, Bob Iger also banned Shamreen from visiting multiple sets for upcoming Star Wars projects that she initially was given the clearance for. This includes Ahsoka Season 2, all Mandalorian projects moving onwards, and a ton more on the horizon that she will not be allowed to visit or supervise. Surprisingly, Kathleen Kennedy is reportedly livid with Bob Iger's demands for cost-cutting the REY Star Wars movie from a $400+ million budget down to roughly $200 million+. The budget was slashed in half, roughly, in order to save spending for the marketing of the film. In addition to this, Shamreen has also lost numerous creative liberties over the REY Star Wars film as a direct response from Bob Iger after witnessing the ongoing backlash from what fans are left and the rest of the general public that had an issue with Chinoy's comments about women. Now, Shamreen Obaid-Chinoy income, of course, and her payout was also reduced as a result of Iger's cost-cutting measures, and one surprising update that comes out of this is that her pay decrease came as a result of Iger and the rest of the Disney higher-ups to provide a pay increase for Daisy Ridley. This is why there was a grudge that started between the actress and the director that has been creating tensions on the production of the film. With the budget slashed by half due to Iger cost-cutting measures, Shamreen is already in a phase of frustration, and already head, of course, into multiple meetings with the Disney heads, with Kathleen Kennedy by her side, over how this is making the production more difficult than before, and creating impossible tasks to meet the deadline for filming by this summer. Now guys, let me just stop here for one moment. Now, the fact that they went from an April filming date until the summer just goes to show you exactly how inconsistent the production for this movie really is, and how now there's a serious, potential that this movie could be delayed as far as principal photography goes until the fall. So let's get into this further, shall we? Now, on top of that, this in turn is already creating a likely scenario where the film's principal photography phase will likely be delayed yet again, very much likely until September. Stephen Knight has been told by Disney to rush revisions for both the first and second acts of the film, after many locations will no longer be used for filming, and how some set builds were cancelled, which also put pressure on the set designers for the REY Star Wars film. Shamreen is already fighting Disney to reinstate the funds, at least for some of the scenes for the film, with the help of Kathleen Kennedy. However, Bob Iger is not listening, and all bets are off. Guys, this is why I always like to say, they always begin to eat each other when the chips are down. And it's a fine example here. We know that Bob Iger is doing whatever he has to do to reduce spending. That's how bad Disney is right now. That's how, of course, they have become a mockery of what the Disney legacy used to be. We know that Walt Disney was always about just creating pure entertainment. In fact, I think that Michael Eisner, during the days of Eisner, we still had great material. It wasn't until Bob Iger came in where things began to slowly take a downturn. It took a very long time to get to this point. I think it really was around like the mid-2010s where things began to really kind of crumble. And we knew that the Chapek era didn't help either, because that was basically just a shoehorn to make him the fall guy for Bob Iger's semi-retirement. That's a fact. So, look, we know that this REY movie is going to be an epic failure. We all know it, and they know it. And I don't know why Lucasfilm is on this trend. They are in a worse position than Marvel in my book, because not only are they dealing with a lot of failures, but they're also in this vicious cycle where they announce things and they cancel things, and or those projects go into production limbo, or there's a lot of drama attached to the production. This is just all relatable to Lucasfilm, strictly. We know that Marvel Studios is not on a good track. Yes, I know about that. But Lucasfilm is something very, of its own nature, right? It performs in its own way, where they just can't get a singular Star Wars movie out since 2019 or on track for production. So anyway, guys, there's a lot of things going on with Shamreen Obaid-Chinoy after the comments that she made and the backlash that she received, and how now even Disney is going up against her. It's not looking good in the slightest, even after she got fired from over 4 projects over at Lucasfilm, a mixture of movies and television shows. So overall, guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.